My name is Alison Weihe from Johannesburg, South Africa, and I am an entrepreneur, a speaker, a writer, and a global coach specializing in identity intelligence. My latest book is called Belonging: Finding Tribes of Meaning. What inspired me to write Belonging was that it took me 60 years to have the courage to really tell my story in the most raw and vulnerable way. From political activist for almost 20 years, working with the most profound leaders in the anti-apartheid movement, to becoming an award-winning entrepreneur, and now as a speaker and a writer and a global coach. And what inspired me to share my message was to allow others to feel less alone, to share my entrepreneurial lessons, to share my political awakening and what led me to become a political activist, and then finally to share my personal transformation journey from a woman who was anxious, depressed, extreme yo-yo dieting, to the woman you see today, who is healthy and whole and hasn't weighed herself for 8 long years. And so my journey has been a journey of healing. And I wrote it set against the backdrop of a country seeking healing and finally being able to celebrate its challenging journey to democracy and the challenges that still remain. But the voice of hope and healing and reconciliation it holds for the global world. And that's why I finally realized that my story matters. My research process was extensive. I researched for a year and I wrote for 2 years. And what I did is I researched a lot of the history of South Africa from 1960s up until the present day. And I used the methodology that I'd learned from many other writers, but particularly Liz Gilbert, who steeped herself in the history of the time she was writing about. And so for Belonging, I steeped myself in the history of South Africa. What were the trends? Who were the political figures? What were the cars people were driving? What was the music they were hearing? What were the thoughts? What were the sounds? What were the feelings? And what were the events that shaped my journey? And I used all of that, as well as looking at autobiographies of many leaders. I used all of that as a backdrop for holding my unfolding journey as a young, pale girl growing up in apartheid South Africa, and how my journey as a political activist shaped the rest of my life and continues to shape my voice today. What I love about writing is that writing healed me. Writing made sense of my whole life. I'd been a journalist when I was younger, but I was told my writing was too melodramatic. And I was in a school play and I was told I was too melodramatic. So I shut down that part of myself. I dimmed my light to fit in, to belong. And when I finally had the courage to tell my story, I told it in the most raw form, without any armor. And that has been my greatest healing. Because telling my story made sense of my whole life. It made sense of the journey I'd walked, come full circle now, to be a voice of hope and healing and reconciliation in this country, South Africa, and as a global message to the world. And so becoming a writer has been my greatest gift. And that's what I inspire others to find their greatest gift. The one piece of advice I would give to anybody else who wants to write a book is don't ignore that message in your soul. It's been planted there for a reason. It's a whisper in your soul that your story matters, that your life matters, that your journey matters. And what I always tell young writers is don't judge the words that plop onto the page as your first draft, and don't show it to a single soul. It will sometimes take 8 edits for your voice to soften and shape and find itself. And then share it only with somebody who's trusted in the literary world, somebody you know who's going to give you an objective mentorship that's going to inspire you and shape you and guide you and not diminish your voice. Because as writers, especially when you're telling your own vulnerable story, we are extremely exposed. And so we need the voices of angels to surround us, to take us on this journey of sharing what's in our soul. Go and find your angels, because your story matters. You can buy my book, Finding Tribes of Meaning, on Amazon, and in South Africa at all good bookstores. And I hope that my message will touch your life and allow you to step into the courage of becoming who you were truly meant to be. That's what belonging did for me. It made me truly feel like I belong.